going on, guys? It's MaxMax24. And for those of you who don't know, I'm on TikTok. I've been on TikTok for a little while now. I've garnered a little following there. It's pretty great. And I do this series on there called Movie Tinder Edition. Now, what is Movie Tinder Edition? Well, that's where I take movie series or random movies and I sort them by if I like them, don't like them, or if I think they're amazing. And I've done a lot of these. It's part of what's made me bigger on TikTok. I'm not super big, right? I'm not top of TikTok big, but we're almost there. But it's really hard to scroll down and, track down which ones I've done. And, a lot of people ask me for ones that I've already done. So I'm just like, it's a lot of work. So I decided to make a little compilation video of all of the movie Tinder editions that I have done and put it on here on my YouTube, just like how I did the video game Tinder edition compilation, the video games that deserve sequels compilation. This is the movie Tinder edition compilation. So I hope you enjoy, and if you do, as always, remember to drop a like, comment, subscribe, tell your friends, all that fun stuff us YouTubers tell you guys to do. Follow me on social media, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. I have most on Twitter, sometimes Facebook, barely on Instagram. Follow me on Facebook, subscribe to me here, and follow me on TikTok. And without further ado, let's get into Movies Tinder Edition. Let's do this Tinder Edition thing with the MCU. Now, full disclosure, I enjoy every single one of these, but some I like a lot better than others. Iron Man 1 was a phenomenal start to an amazing franchise. It was decent. It could have been so much better. It was decent, not a good second go. Not a good sequel to the first one. Again, decent, but not. This had some funny fish out of water stuff. I actually enjoyed this more than some. I actually really liked this one too. I thought it was a good time. This was just a phenomenal first team up, and just memories. This was a really good third entry in the series. No. This is an amazing movie. This one's amazing too. Not as good as the first team up. Spent too much time trying to build up other movies instead of telling its own story. This is part 2 of my MCU Tinder Edition thing, and now full disclosure again, I enjoy every single one of these movies, but some I like more than others. This is actually a really surprising title, and I really enjoyed it. Civil War is just a phenomenal team-up movie. Doctor Strange is a really good time. Not as good as the first one, alright, it was just kind of disappointing. This was one of the best Spider-Man movies we've ever gotten. This is one of the best Thor movies we've gotten. Black Panther was phenomenal. Infinity War was absolutely amazing. Alright, Ant-Man and the Wasp, I really enjoyed this. I had a hell of a fun time laughing during this. Captain Marvel, I actually thought it was a good movie. Don't hate me. Endgame was amazing, alright? And Far From Home, not as good as Homecoming, but still a really good time. Alright, let's do this Tinder Edition thing with the X-Men movies I own. This is a phenomenal title. Anybody who says otherwise are just plain wrong. Not as good as the first one, but still really funny. This was just an amazingly fun time and very unique at the time, so I love it. No. This is one of the best superhero movies we've ever gotten. This is a great beginning to the franchise. It was better, but no. No. This is a phenomenal movie, I think. This was a really good reboot of the series. Where's my trash can? Let's do this Tinder thing with the Spider-Man movies. Spider-Man 1, I think, is simply amazing. Maybe that's nostalgia speaking, I don't know, but I think it's amazing. Spider-Man 2, I think, is also amazing. I don't know where my copy is, sadly, but I think this movie is amazing. Spider-Man 3 was a disappointment, to say the least, alright? It really was. The Amazing Spider-Man was a fun time. Andrew Garfield was a fun Spider-Man. The Amazing Spider-Man 2 was disappointing, alright? It's not good. Spider-Man Homecoming, I think, is an amazing Spider-Man movie, a great reboot of the series, and I absolutely love it. Into the Spider-Verse honestly deserves its own category of God tier, but I'm just going to put it in amazing. Venom was a fun time, and that's probably just because of Tom Hardy, because the movie's kind of meh, but I think it's a good, fun movie. And then Far From Home, I'm kind of torn. Is it good? Is it amazing? I'm a little bit in the middle, but I'm just going to put it in amazing for this. Let's do this Tinder thing with the DCEU. Now, I don't own some of them, so I wrote them on cards. Man of Steel is a good Superman movie. I think Henry Cavill is a great choice to Superman. It's a fun time. I did not understand the appeal of Batman v Superman. Some people absolutely love it. I just don't. I don't like it. Justice League was so disappointing. So disappointing. It could have been so much better. Suicide Squad has some great actors, some great acting choices. Jared Leto sucks, the villain sucks, but I still have a fun time and the extended cut makes it better. Wonder Woman's just simply phenomenal. It's one of the best superhero movies we've gotten in recent years. Aquaman is the pinnacle of dumb fun. Shazam is a hell of a lot of fun. Such a good movie. I absolutely love this movie. I think the action set pieces are just simply amazing, alright? It's just a fun time. This is technically not DCEU, but I'm still going to rank it. It's simply phenomenal. Let's do this Tinder thing with the Jurassic Park movies. This is a simply amazing movie, alright? I cannot stop rewatching it. What happened? What happened? Again, what's going on, Jurassic Park? You good? You want to talk about something? This was a really good restart to the series. Technically restart, but also like soft reboot, kind of. It was really enjoyable. Now, if we're just comparing the sequels, I think this is a much better sequel than both Jurassic Park 2 and 3. I think it was actually a fun, good, enjoyable movie until the last act. I think the beginning's good, the last act's kind of meh. Let's do this tradition thing with Men in Black. I think this is a really good time, a really fun movie. I think it's so funny. Yeah. Let's just undo the ending of the last one, why don't we? I think this is a good return to form. Time travel's a little weird, but I think it's an enjoyable movie. Yeah, let's just take two very charismatic actors and make them the most boring people on the planet. Let's do this tradition thing with a bunch of random movies I pulled from my shelf. This is really fun. The critics did not give it a chance. This is a phenomenal sci-fi movie. This is also a phenomenal sci-fi movie. This so badly deserved a sequel. This is a phenomenal movie. This is a good movie. The second one's a lot better. This is a really good movie. Alien's just simply a phenomenal movie. The world's cool. The soundtrack's cool. The story's trash. This is really good and really makes you think. Not one of the best Nolan films, but still a really good film. Let's do this Tinder thing with the Star Wars movies. Now, full disclosure, I enjoy every single one of these, but some I like a lot more than others. Phantom Menace, if it wasn't for Jar Jar Binks, it would be a good movie. Attack of the Clones is just so boring until the last act. Revenge of the Sith, I think, is simply phenomenal. One of the best prequels. A New Hope, you know that's an amazing start. Empire Strikes Back, you know that's amazing too. Return of the Jedi, I don't think it's as amazing, but it's still a fun time. Solo was actually a decent Star Wars movie. It feels odd, but I think it was enjoyable. Rogue One, I absolutely loved. Force Awakens was a good sequel. I think it was enjoyable. You're gonna hate me for this. A lot of you are, but I absolutely love The Last Jedi. I think it's amazing. The more this movie sits with me, the worse it seems. It could have been longer. It should have been longer. Let's do this thing with all the Star Wars content Disney has made. Rogue One, I think, is amazing. The space battles alone make this top tier Star Wars. Solo could have been better. I think it's enjoyable. It was very unneeded. Mandalorian has been an amazing time so far. 2 seasons in, and it's just going strong. Rebels, I think, is really good. If you haven't watched Rebels, you really should. Resistance is not it. No. Clone Wars Season 7, the first arc and the last arc are great. The middle arc kind of boring, but it's still an amazing season. I really liked Force Awakens. I think it set up a good premise. It was a copy of A New Hope, but I still think it was good. This is my opinion, but I think The Last Jedi is simply amazing. And I think Rise of Skywalker was kind of disappointing. Let's do this Tinder thing with the Terminator movies. Terminator 1, I think, is such an amazing action movie. Such a classic. Terminator 2, I think, is even more amazing. Seriously, where has there ever been a better sequel than Terminator 2? Terminator 3, Rise of the Machines was alright. It wasn't as good as the first two, but it wasn't that bad either. It still got some enjoyable moments. Salvation, it could have been good, but it just wasn't. Genesis, what were they even thinking with this movie? Seriously, this movie's just an absolute train wreck. And then Dark Fate. Dark Fate, I think, is good. It's not as good as the original two, but I still think it's a good Terminator movie. Let's do this thing with the Back to the Future movies. Back to the Future 1 was just a fantastic start to the series and such a classic time travel movie. Back to the Future 2 was also really good. It wasn't as good as the original, but it was still a really good movie. And Back to the Future 3 is kind of in that same spot. It's not as good as the original, but it's still a really good movie and such a great ending to the trilogy. Please, Hollywood, just do not try to reboot Back to the Future. Do not give us a part 4. Just don't, please. Let's do this Tinder thing with Lord of the Rings. The Fellowship of the Ring is a phenomenal beginning to this story and such a great movie. The Two Towers is a phenomenal sequel, and again, such a great movie, continues the fantasy epic that is Lord of the Rings in an amazing fashion. The Return of the King finishes off that amazing storyline, and I just love it. The Hobbit had potential, alright? It started out good. It started out a good series. It should have only been one movie, but the first one in the series was enjoyable. The Desolation of Smaug was also enjoyable. Smaug was great. Benedict Cumberbatch was great as Smaug. What happened here? Not a good no. Let's do this Tinder thing with random movies that took off my shelf. This is not a very good movie. The only reason we own it is because my mom's name is Meg. Elf is just phenomenal. I watch it every Christmas. A Star is Born is such a great movie, alright? Lady Gaga and Bradley Cooper do an amazing job. This is a fun-filled musical sequel. It's not amazing, but it's fun. This is also fun. What song in this can you not sing along to? Hairspray is also a really fun musical. Again, singing along. A Christmas Story is an amazing Christmas movie. It's just simply amazing. This is good. This is amazing. This is a pretty amazing movie. Avatar is good. I do not say it's amazing. I don't think it's amazing, but I think it's still a good time. Fargo is such a funny movie, alright? This is bad. And this is just really bad too. Let's do this Tinder thing with random movies that took off my shelf. This is not a good movie. It spawned an amazing series, but the movie's just not very good. This is simply phenomenal. Such a good story. Monsters, Inc. is simply phenomenal as well. Such a great story. This is enjoyable. It has its moments. I'm not a big fan of this movie. I don't think it's very good. This movie is good. Not top tier Pixar, but still good. This is a fun Christmas movie. It's weird, it's creepy, but it's fun. This is a really fun Kung Fu movie. This is a dark musical, but an interesting musical. Is this a good movie? Probably not. Is it a fun movie? Yes. This is also a fun animated movie. Let's do this Tinder thing with random movies that took off my shelves. I absolutely love this movie. It's such a good horror movie, and I don't like horror. This is an awesome horror movie also. Freaking amazing. I was so excited for part 2. This movie just absolutely sucks. I bought it for the cover. Ghostbusters 2 is such a good time. Not as good as the first one, but still fun. Ghostbusters 1, on the other hand, is simply amazing. This is a fun movie if you're a World of Warcraft fan, which I am. If you're not going to enjoy it very much. My nostalgia was freaking out. This movie's so much fun. The book is so much better, but the movie's still a fun time. If you like disaster movies, this is a fun-filled disaster movie. This is a Tom Cruise movie. I enjoy it, but it's Tom Cruise, so if you don't like Tom Cruise. This is another fun disaster movie. Let's do this Tinder thing with more random movies that took off my shelf. Don't ask me why we only own the second one, but it's enjoyable. It's funny, alright? The Minions are a little old now, but it's still funny. Snow White is amazing. It's just an amazing movie. Edward Scissorhands is such a weird movie, but still an enjoyable movie. The Karate Kid is just amazing. You know it is. Brother Bear, I enjoy. I think it's got a lot of heart, and I think it's an enjoyable movie. You know Austin Powers is hilarious. This is a really good movie, alright? A really good first entry into everyone be good. This was good. It was enjoyable. I had some fun with it. I also had some fun with this. I think this was a really good movie. Let's do this Tinder thing with more random movies that took off my shelf. This is such a fun movie. If it wasn't for the chemistry between Ryan Reynolds and Samuel L. Jackson, it wouldn't be fun, but it's so much fun. This is a really good mystery movie. This deserves its own category of God tier. This is an amazing real-life story. This is an amazing musical. Absolutely phenomenal. I absolutely love this movie. I think it's a phenomenal movie. I can't stop rewatching it. Knives Out is an amazing mystery movie. I absolutely love this movie. The Lego Batman movie is such a funny movie. This one is not as good as the first one, but it's still so much fun. This is such a fun, new type of movie it's amazing. I said amazing. Stay there. This is a really fun time. And this is also a really fun time. Let's do this Tinder thing with the John Wick movies. The first one is a really good action movie. Who would have thought killing someone's dog would be that scary? John Wick 2, I think, is an even better action movie. This one's just simply amazing. And John Wick 3, I think, is an amazing movie too. It's just such a good action movie. I cannot wait for John Wick 4. Let's do this Tinder edition thing with Indiana Jones. Raiders of the Lost Ark is a fun, action-filled start to this series and such an amazing movie. Temple of Doom is good, but not as good as Raiders of the Lost Ark. The Last Crusade is an amazing movie. Such a great kick-topper to a great trilogy. Kingdom of the Crystal Skull didn't need to be made. It's not as good as the other ones. It's kind of lackluster at best. Let's do this thing with the Madagascar movies. Madagascar 1 is not that good of a movie, alright? My nostalgic mind tells me it's good, but I know in reality it's not. Madagascar Escape to Africa, on the other hand, is a fun movie, alright? Who doesn't love Escape to Africa? Madagascar 3, I think, is also an enjoyable movie. Not as good as 2, I think 2 is just where the series peaked, but it's still fun. Penguins of Madagascar, I don't know what this was. Why? Just why? Let's do this thing with the Shrek franchise. Shrek 1 is such an amazing time, alright? It launched a fun series, and I just love it. It's so memorable, and I've watched it so many times. Shrek 2 is equally as amazing. It just expands upon the world of Shrek, and is such a fun time. Shrek the Third is not as good as the first two. I enjoy it. I think it's cool that they bring in like a lot of like those Disney princess characters, but their own versions. So I enjoy it, but I know it's not as good. And Shrek Forever After, I thought was a disappointment, alright? I liked Rumpelstiltskin, but I think the plot was it was eh. Puss in Boots, I think, is also amazing, alright? It revitalized the series, and it's a nice spin-off. They should really make a sequel to it. And then the Broadway musical, it's a musical. It's on Broadway, but it's not a great musical. Let's do this thing with the Kung Fu Panda movies. Kung Fu Panda 1 was a great introduction to this world of Kung Fu Panda. The fight scenes were awesome, the story was fun, it was just an amazing animated movie. Kung Fu Panda 2 took everything good about Kung Fu Panda 1 and made it better. I just think Kung Fu Panda 2 is such an amazing film. Kung Fu Panda 3, on the other hand, is not amazing. It's still really good, but it's not as good as the first two. Let's do this thing with the Dreamworks franchises. That means they have to have at least 2 movies in the series. Kung Fu Panda series, I think, is an amazing time. Seriously, I love these movies to death. The Madagascar series is good. It's not great. It's fun. It's not amazing. The Croods, if it wasn't for the second one, this would be disappointing, but the second one really makes up for the first. The How to Train Your Dragon movies are simply amazing. DreamWorks has not made something like this since. I don't understand the appeal of trolls. I can't get into it. And then Shrek. You know Shrek is an amazing time. Yes, some of the entries are weaker than others, but it's still amazing. Let's do this thing with the Despicable Me series. I actually think Despicable Me 1 was a really good entry and a really good first movie for Illumination. Compared to other animated movies, it's probably not amazing, but compared to the catalog of Illumination, it is amazing. Despicable Me 2, I don't think was very good, alright? Not everything needs a sequel, and I don't think Despicable Me needed a sequel. Despicable Me 3 is a lot better than Despicable Me 2. It's not amazing, but I think it's enjoyable. And then Minions, oh jeez, what to say about Minions? Minions just was not needed. Seriously, what was this movie? Also, why is my disc so clear? But what was this movie? Let's do this thing with the rest of the Illumination movies. Secret Life of Pets had a lot of potential and it just did not deliver. I still think there's some enjoyable bits, but overall it's pretty weak. Secret Life of Pets 2, on the other hand, took that potential and actually delivered on it, and I think it's an amazing time. I really like Sing. I don't know what it is about it, but I think it's an amazingly fun movie. Hop, on the other hand, is the only live-action movie Illumination's done, and it's probably one of the worst ones they've done. I like the Lorax. I know it's not as great as like the book Lorax and doesn't deliver on the Dr. Seuss stuff, but like I still think it's enjoyable, and I love the songs. And the Grinch, I think, is also really good. I don't think it's top-notch Illumination, but I still think it's really good. Let's do this thing with the Steelbook movies I have. Spirited Away is just an amazing animated movie. I love this movie. You know Jaws is an amazing movie, alright? It's just such a classic. Yeah, they should never have made sequels, but the first one's a classic. Knives Out, I think, is an amazing detective movie, alright? I just love this movie so much. Jumanji: The Next Level is not as good as the first one or the first couple, but it's still a good time. Jumanji: Welcome to the Jungle, I think, is amazing. It was just such a fun revitalization of the series. And then Jumanji, the original one, is also amazing. Kingsman are such fun movies. I think The Secret Service goes in amazing, and The Golden Circle is probably in good. So I'm just going to put it right there. This is part 2 of my ranking of my Steelbook movies. Iron Man 1 was just an amazing start to an even amazinger franchise. Just so good. Iron Man 2, on the other hand, was very disappointing. It's watchable, there's some fun moments, but compared to the rest of the series, I just think it's disappointing. Iron Man 3 was better than Iron Man 2, but not as good as Iron Man 1. Infinity War is simply amazing, alright? You know it is. Captain Marvel, I enjoyed Captain Marvel. I didn't think it was amazing. It wasn't bad. It was enjoyable. Endgame is simply amazing as well. It's just amazing. And then Spider-Man Far From Home, I think, is really good. I don't know if it's amazing. I think it's great. It's hard. I think I'm going to have to just put it in the middle, right there. Let's do this traditional thing with the Transformers movies. This was a really fun movie, and I think a really good start to the franchise. What happened? All right, it started off good, and this movie's not that good. This movie is a hell of a lot of fun. Does it have a good plot? Maybe not, but it's a hell of a lot of fun, and that's all I care about. This had some potential. It did. I thought it was enjoyable. This threw that potential right out the window. I don't know what the hell happened. And this movie was phenomenal. I think it's actually one of the best plot lines, one of the best Transformers movies. It's like a live-action Iron Giant. If you haven't seen this, go watch it. Let's do this thing with the Bill and Ted movies. Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure is such an amazingly fun time. Seriously, if you haven't watched it, go watch it. Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey, on the other hand, is very disappointing. How do you go from Excellent Adventure to this? And then Face the Music was a huge surprise. After Bogus Journey, they did nothing, and then an announcement they were making a new one was terrifying, but Face the Music is actually fun. I know Christmas is over and everything, but let's do this Tinder thing with the Santa Claus movies. The Santa Claus is such a classic Christmas movie, such a great time. You have to watch it every Christmas. Santa Claus 2, I barely remember. I don't know what happened in this one. I don't even remember watching it very much. It's just not very memorable. And Santa Claus 3, I liked as a kid. Looking back at it now, it's not the greatest movie in the world, but I think it was still an enjoyable time. I always thought Jack Frost was cool. Let's do this Tinder edition thing with the Night at the Museum movies. Night at the Museum 1 is just such an iconic movie. It's so quotable, and I absolutely love this film to death. Night at the Museum 2 is a lot of fun. I really enjoy it. I don't think it's as good as the first one, but I still think it's an enjoyable time. Night at the Museum 3, on the other hand, I don't think is very good compared to the other two. I just think it's weak, and it's not as funny, and it's just a sad way to end the series. Let's do this Tinder thing with Harry Potter. I don't know where my copy is, but Sorcerer's Stone is a really good beginning to an amazing series. Chamber of Secrets is also a really good sequel in an amazing series. Prisoner of Azkaban is just amazing. It's one of the first really dark ones, and it's just really amazing. Goblet of Fire, I think, is amazing too. I really do. I think the Triwizard Tournament is such a great time. Order of the Phoenix, there's something about it that I absolutely love it. Umbridge, I love Umbridge. I think she's a great villain, and I think it's a really good movie. I'm not a huge fan of Half-Blood Prince. I think it's decent, but I'm not a huge fan. I'm not a huge fan of Deathly Hallows Part 1 either. I think it's slow. I think it was unneeded, but it's still good. This one is just an amazing finale. Let's do this Tinder edition thing with the Quentin Tarantino movies. I don't really enjoy Reservoir Dogs as much as other Quentin Tarantino films. I think it's a well-made movie, but I just thought it was kind of boring. Pulp Fiction, people think this is one of the best movies ever made. I don't see that. I think it's good, I just don't think it's in the amazing category. I'm sorry. I really don't enjoy Jackie Brown as much as other ones either. I think it's also kind of slow and boring. Kill Bill and Kill Bill 2, on the other hand, I think are amazingly fun movies. Inglourious Bastards, I think, is an amazing movie as well. Django Unchained is another amazing one. Seriously, these are my top 3 Tarantino films. The Hateful Eight, I really like The Hateful Eight. Some people think it's too slow or not much happens, but I really enjoy it. And then Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, I really enjoy too. I think it should have been a little bit shorter, but I still think it was a good time. Let's do this tradition thing with the Jason Bourne movies. If you haven't seen the Bourne movies, you really should. The Bourne Identity is such an amazing action movie. The Bourne Supremacy continues that amazingness. The Bourne Ultimatum continues that amazingness. The Bourne Legacy is good, not as good, but still good. And Jason Bourne is, it's mediocre. Let's do this Tinder edition thing with Mission Impossible. I gotta say, the first Mission Impossible is really boring and not that fun. The second Mission Impossible is just super dumb. What were they thinking? The third breathes new life into the series and is a fun time. Ghost Protocol is simply amazing. It's such a great action movie. Rogue Nation is an even better action movie. How did they do it? And Tom Cruise still is rocking it, and Fallout is just one of the best Mission Impossibles. Let's do this Tinder thing with the Daniel Craig James Bond movies. Casino Royale is, I think, such an amazing James Bond movie. Such a good time. Quantum of Solace is just, no, it's very disappointing. Skyfall, I think, is an amazing movie also. Seriously, such a good James Bond movie. And Spectre. Spectre's alright. It's not great. It's not that disappointing. It's just, it's alright. It's an alright James Bond movie. Alright, let's do this Tinder edition thing with the Pirates of the Caribbean movies. I really like this movie. I think it's a really fun, great start to the franchise. This movie's a lot of fun. I think it's weaker than the one that comes before it, but I still think it's a lot of fun. This one's a hell of a lot of fun, too. I mean, just the giant battle at the end is such a good time. This, no, it's just the Jack Sparrow show, but I want more from my Pirates of the Caribbean. It fell flat. This was an improvement, I think, and I think it was slept on by a lot of people, and I think it's a good time. I just don't own it. So there you have it. That's my movie Tinder edition. I hope you enjoy it, all right? If you want to see them more frequently and up to date, go follow me on TikTok, or you can just sit here and wait until I make another compilation. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope to see you in the next video.